turned on my microphone. Okay, awesome. So we're about to start the webinar, and we're going to be talking about toxic metals that cause fatigue. And let's see if there's any audio. Let's see. Okay, so we're all good. So I've got audio now. So we're going to be talking about toxic metals that cause fatigue. And my really good friend, Ari Whiten, interviewed me for this webinar. And he's going to be joining us in a few minutes. And just thank you guys so much for joining us. I know there's about 63 people in the room right now. So that's fantastic. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So feel free to ask any questions that you have. There are about 5 moderators that we have that will be answering questions. There's going to be a lot of people on the webinar. So I'm obviously not going to be able to answer all of your questions. But during the presentation, the moderators will be answering any questions that you have, and I'll be answering questions live after I do the presentation. And I'll try to get, to stay online to answer as many questions as possible during the webinar. And so we're going to be talking about toxic metals that cause fatigue. And you guys have probably heard me talk about this a lot if you've listened to any of my online summit presentations, and I haven't even really done a presentation on the podcast, on the Live to 110 podcast. So that's why I wanted to do this webinar to basically educate you guys on, my passion, which is helping you guys to get more energy through detoxification. So I'm going to give you a lot of tips today on things that you can do at home to start detoxing, and a special offer to do my program if you wish. So we're going to be learning a lot of things today on the webinar. So Christine says, hey, Wendy, will you talk about how one can detox from flame retardants and VOCs from our furniture? I'm not going to be talking about that in particular on today's webinar, but I am going to be talking about infrared saunas. So infrared saunas are one of the best ways to detox from chemicals. So the CDC says we have about 700 chemicals in our body. I think it's much higher than that. Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt thinks we have 10 to 20,000 chemicals in our body. I mean, if you think about the fact that we have 100,000 chemicals in our body, it's probably not going to be as low as 700 chemicals that exist, but we can only speculate. So the research is out there that shows we have at least 700 chemicals in our body. And so one of the best ways to detox from that is taking modified citrus pectin. It's called Pectisol C. And that's a fantastic supplement that I recommend really to anyone who is interested in detoxification, say they don't want to work with a practitioner, they can't afford it, or what have you. You can take that every single day, and it absorbs all kinds of metals and chemicals. It's a fantastic detox agent, and it goes beyond the gut. A lot of binders only work in the gut. The Pectisol C works by cleansing your blood and attaching itself to chemicals and metals in your blood, and then you urinate them out. And there's lots of really good binders, but I like the Pectisol C because of that special feature it has by detoxing chemicals in your blood. Zeolites are also another way to detox VOCs. And also, like I said, infrared saunas where you can sweat those out through your pores. That's a great way to get rid of chemicals like flame retardants and VOCs as well. So if you guys have any more questions, I'm happy to answer any of your questions that you post. So Carla, should you take Pectisol and BioCell at the same time, or one in the morning and one at night, for example? For instance, do they affect each other if taken at the same time? So very good question. Yes, they do affect each other. The Pectisol C is a binder, so you do not want to take Pectisol C and BioCell at the same time, because the Pectisol C could absorb the BioCell and render it useless. And so you're spending a lot of money on these supplements. You don't want to make that mistake. So what you usually will do is start the Pectisol C first thing in the morning. And upon waking is a great time, but you want to make sure you take the Pectisol C, the modified citrus pectin, an hour away from food, supplements, and medications. So if any of you taking thyroid medication, you want to make sure you don't take the Pectisol C anywhere close to the time that you take your thyroid medication or other medications. And the BioSil is best taken at least an hour away from that at another time of day, or even before bedtime. So I hope that answers your questions. Okay, so the actual webinar is going to start at 5 p.m. I just wanted to jump on and chat with you guys a little bit and answer some of your questions before the actual webinar starts at 5 p.m. And that's when my friend Ari Whiten will be interviewing me about toxic metals that cause fatigue. So we'll be doing that in about 5 minutes. And so let's see if anybody else has any questions. Hey, Wendy, I've heard most of these do not work to chelate metals from the brain. So what is the best way to detox the brain metals? So that's not true. There's a lot of misinformation out on the internet and the blogosphere. Perhaps some people that don't know what they're talking about, but absolutely a lot of these substances that I give clients do detox metals in the brain. Zeolites are one of them. Those do detox metals in the brain. Super R-lipoic acid, which is a specific type of R-lipoic acid. It's a fat soluble R-lipoic acid. The brain readily takes in that fat, and that will help to detox the brain. Specifically, it can clear arsenic from the cranial cavity in research. And there's other things like coriander seed oil. That's a fresh pressed oil of the cilantro seed. Coriander is the seed of the cilantro plant. And this will also, sorry about that. This will also the brain will readily take in that fat, and it will help to detox the brain of metals like mercury and lead and other things, other metals like nickel, manganese as well. So lots of supplements that you can take at home that will detox the brain. And I could go on and on and on, but you get the idea. Also, Wendy, I have a relax far infrared sauna that I like quite a bit. Is that effective until we can afford a near infrared sauna? I know you like those the best. Is it safe for us to do far infrared sauna every single day? So far infrared saunas are great. They work very well to detox your body. The majority of the research on infrared saunas is on far infrared saunas. So we know that they work. They definitely detox your body. The reason I like near infrared saunas is because you get the light component. So they have these light bulbs, these near infrared heat lamps. They're infrared heat lamps. And these work, the light is really nice because it helps to charge up your mitochondria, because your mitochondria work by light. That's why when you go in the sun and you absorb the near infrared rays from the sun and other spectrums, that really helps to give you more energy, because it charges up your mitochondria. We have evolutionarily been designed to power up with the sun. And so using a near infrared sauna helps to mimic the near infrared rays of the sun and give you additional benefits over and above what a far infrared sauna will give you. And so that's why I like them. And so, but the far infrared sauna is fine. You can also add a couple of light bulbs, or even there's even near infrared LEDs. I really like the CM Vision IR130 LED product. You can get it on Amazon. That's a near infrared LED that you can add to your far infrared sauna. But there's no really need to purchase a second sauna. Just add a few bulbs to your far infrared sauna. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, so Wendy, what about detox with mercury amalgams and what to take before and after removal of amalgam fillings? And so, a lot of people have mercury fillings. And so I'm not a big fan of, some people will say, like specifically Andrew Cutler will say to not take detox supplements while you have mercury fillings in your mouth. I don't believe that at all whatsoever. It's never too early to start detoxification, because it's a very long process. And there's a lot of different supplements that will detox mercury. So my favorite supplements to detox mercury are, of course, coriander seed oil. I like the panacea coriander seed oil. DMSA works as well, but I don't recommend that unless you're extremely toxic. Intestinal metal detox, IMD by Quicksilver, works very well to block mercury absorption in the gut and through, hepatic liver recirculation into the body. Modified citrus pectin works really, really well. The Pectocell C that I'm always yammering about. I really like Life Extension, Super R lipoic acid. That's fantastic. Curcumin, garlic, glutathione, detox mercury, NAC, N-acetylcysteine, and selenium also works really well to detox mercury, and zinc. So a lot of different things will detox mercury. And so those are all things that you can take before and after mercury amalgam removal to prevent the mercury that can be released with drilling and, removal of the mercury fillings from entering your body. Okay, guys, so it is 5 o'clock right now, and we are going to start the presentation. So enjoy. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our masterclass today. This is going to be so much fun. We're going to be answering all of your questions live on the air after we have this presentation. And I just love doing these masterclasses because you get them when you do our Mineral Power program. We do about one a month, and we talk about various subjects or have guests on. And it's really fun because it engages the community and everyone gets their questions answered. They've been, dying to answer if they're not working with a practitioner. And so it's just really a lot of fun to do. So I wanted to finally do one with you guys, with everyone that's on our email newsletter list. And I wanted to educate you guys about the toxic metals that cause fatigue. So I have my friend Ari Whiten here to interview me, because I thought it'd be a little bit more engaging if somebody interviews me. And so let's do this.
Hey everyone, I'm here with Wendy Myers, who I had the pleasure of meeting a couple months ago, and we hit it off. We had a wonderful conversation, and so I invited her to do this webinar with you all on the subject of detoxing. So let me introduce her by kind of telling you a little about her. Wendy Myers is the founder of liveto110.com and mineralpower.com. She is a detox guru, functional diagnostic nutritionist, and NES bioenergetic practitioner in LA, California. She is the #1 best-selling author of Limitless Energy, How to Detox Toxic Metals and End Exhaustion and Chronic Fatigue. She uses hair mineral analysis and other functional medical tests to design custom mineral power detox programs. Passionate about the importance of detox to live a long, disease-free life, she is a sought-after speaker, appearing on countless summits and podcasts. She is host of the popular Live to 110 podcast. In 2018, she will unveil the Detox Institute to teach practitioners how to properly use and interpret toxic metal tests like hair mineral analysis, urine, and stool tests. Awesome. So that's quite a bio. I love it. I'm excited for you to unveil the Detox Institute.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. And thanks for having me also.
Yeah, so welcome. And you want to just jump right into this?
Yes, absolutely. Well, you know what? I'll tell you a little bit about my story and kind of how I got into health. Like a lot of people, I found myself at, mid-30s and taking really good care of myself, great diet, organic diet, cooking my food at home, taking amazing supplements, and exercising, trying to sleep, and generally taking really good care of myself. And I still didn't feel well. And I think a lot of women find themselves, or people in general at, a certain age in their 30s or 40s, and they're taking fantastic care of themselves, and they don't feel their best, or they don't recognize themselves in the mirror. They're exhausted, they're brain fogged, their libido is non-existent, or they have multiple health diagnoses or on multiple medications. And so I just delved into why I was having all these issues and just wasn't feeling well. So I went to a medical doctor, did all these tests, and found out I had the hormone levels of a menopausal woman at 37, and severe adrenal fatigue and vitamin deficiencies and low thyroid function. And I thought that's so odd because I take such good care of myself. And I went on a journey to, try to address my health issues naturally, because the doctor wanted to put me on hormone replacement therapy. And I thought that's not really how I envisioned my life at 37, to be on hormone replacement therapy.
Yeah, understandable.
And testosterone creams and all this other kind of stuff that she wanted to give me. So I went searching on the internet, and in my research over years, I kept hitting on toxins and metals and toxins in our environment being a primary driver of disease and health issues. And so I really focused in on that. And unfortunately, my father was diagnosed with esophageal cancer at one point, and again, hit the research trying to help him, but he passed away from his cancer treatments. And so that really hit home. And I decided to start live to110.com, my website, in his honor, and to publish my findings and my research.
Ah, beautiful. Very cool. So where did this transition to energy? Because I know that's a big focus of yours now, and specifically within energy, really detoxification. So I know you have a new book called Limitless Energy, which I've read and is awesome, by the way. And so in that book, you talk all about the link between toxins and specifically metals and fatigue. So can you just talk a little bit about, that connection, what that whole link is about?
Yes. Well, there's a specific set of toxic metals that promote fatigue. So there's arsenic, aluminum, tin, thallium, cesium, and mercury and lead that I discuss in the book. But certain metals specifically poison enzymes that transport nutrients into your mitochondria. And your mitochondria are your body's powerhouses. They make your body's energy. They make ATP. And if you're not able, if you have a lot of these toxic metals in your body, which all of us do, you're just not going to be able to produce the amount of energy that your body is capable of. And these metals cause a myriad number of symptoms, but, so many people suffer from fatigue, and I've seen thousands of clients, and their number one complaint is fatigue. And so I started just delving into, why is that? Why is everybody so tired, and what are the underlying root causes of that? And I knew metals had something to do with it, because all the research I've done, every single health condition has some sort of metal component to it that's the promoter of it or the outright cause of it, and fatigue is no different.
Yeah, interesting. So why are these metals actually, first of all, accumulating in our bodies? I guess we'll start there as a first question. So where do they come from? How do they get into our bodies?
So metals come into our bodies from the air, food, and water. So they're pretty much unavoidable. And we're breathing in, every day we're breathing in aluminum, mercury, and other metals that are just from, industry, incinerating products and waste products, and then the burning of coal. Mercury and cadmium and other metals get into the air, and then that settles into our oceans. And then the mercury and cadmium get into our fish and our shellfish and our food supply. And unfortunately, I don't mean to be really depressing, but there's a lot of metals in our soils that then get into our food and get into meats and things of that nature. So no matter what you do, no matter how healthy you are, you cannot avoid metals that you're ingesting in the air, food, and water. So no matter what precautions that you take, even though it's probably a good idea to reduce the large migratory fish intake and do other sensible things, use non-toxic beauty products and things of that nature. Unfortunately, there's 100,000 chemicals in our environment. There's dozens of toxic metals, and they just make our way into our bodies and settle in our tissues and our fat and our bones, in our brain, cause brain fog, and cause a lot of other problems.
Yeah. And I know you said you didn't want to be depressing, but I think the reality of this is that it really is kind of depressing. It's kind of depressing how much we've toxified our world such that we now have toxins that are scientifically proven to cause health problems and energy problems in our air, in our water, in our soil, in the food we eat, the air we breathe. I mean, they're just everywhere, and the cosmetics we put on our skin. And I mean, it really is just kind of crazy when you start getting into this stuff to realize how ubiquitous toxins are, even if you're a health conscious person. And they're just that, like, almost everything you do and everywhere you go, you're exposed to something.
Yeah, it is very depressing. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but there's a lot of things that you can do. I mean, there's a lot of control that you do have, and that's kind of my mission and my purpose in life, is try to teach people and bring awareness to where they're getting these toxins in their body and what they can do to avoid them, and how to identify them through testing, and how to detox them slowly and safely.
Yeah. So how does this relate to fatigue, and like what's going on a physiological level that these metals are accumulating in our bodies, and then how does that actually translate into certain symptoms like the experience of fatigue, lack of energy, and all the others?
Yeah. So number one, what I talked about earlier is there's a certain type of metal that will poison enzymes that transport nutrients into our mitochondria. So if you don't have the right nutrients to make energy, you're not going to be able to produce energy at the capability your body can. And so that will reduce energy production. But there's also other things that interfere in thyroid function. So mercury tends to build up in the thyroid, in the pituitary, in the hypothalamus, and interferes in thyroid hormone production and signaling. There's a very delicate feedback, loop that tells the body when to produce hormones and how much. And so if you don't make enough thyroid hormones, you're going to be depressed, tired, overweight, because the thyroid sets your metabolism. And mercury also will prevent the conversion of T4 to T3. And we can go really, really deep into this. But, metals also interfere in gut function and our gut integrity, and will prevent the absorption of nutrients. So obviously, if you can't absorb your food very well, you're not going to be able to utilize that to produce energy in various ways. So it really interferes in energy production, or metals interfere in any energy production many, many different ways.
So I know you mentioned cesium, thallium, mercury, arsenic, lead. Was there any others I'm missing there?
Yes, pretty much arsenic, aluminum, tin, thallium, cesium, mercury, and lead. Yeah.
Okay. So are those the main ones of concern, or are there any others that we should be worried about?
Yeah, so those are the main ones. Cesium is an interesting one. Cesium is being released into our environment from the Fukushima nuclear disaster that happened in 2011. And so that is releasing alarming amounts of cesium into our environment and into anyone eating a lot of sushi or fish from the Pacific. And I'm a sushi addict, so not any longer so much, but I, became very cesium toxic based on urine testing because of the amount of, not necessarily tuna so much, but other types of fish I was eating from the Pacific, and shellfish. And so that's a really big problem, and that interferes in potassium channels in your body and will interfere and promote, adrenal fatigue and other types of issues. Then there's thallium. Thallium is one that not many people know about. That's actually a gasoline additive. And that it's definitely a factor in anyone who has chronic fatigue. And the reason thallium is added to gasoline is it prevents knocking in car engines. And this is the same reason that we added lead to gasoline, because it makes the engines last longer.
You said it prevents knocking? Is that what you said?
Knocking, yeah. So it's just knocking. We used leaded in the past, leaded gasoline, because it just makes the car engines run smoother.
Okay.
So we don't notice that there's knocking, because we did away with that with adding lead to the gasoline, and now we add thallium to the gasoline.
So thallium came in as a replacement for lead when we did unleaded gasoline.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's beautiful. Yeah, isn't it nice? And nobody knows about it, not even most detox experts.
Yeah,
and so
I actually was totally unaware of that. I know we went unleaded, and I was like, oh, now it's pure gasoline, and we don't have to worry about it. But now they replaced one bad thing with another. It's kind of like, the whole deal with BPA free stuff.
Exactly.
And they advertise this stuff as BPA free, and now it's starting to come out that the chemicals that they use in place of BPA, like BPS and
Or worse.
Getting the name of are just as bad or maybe even worse.
Yes. And that same thing with thallium. Thallium is actually 10 times more toxic than mercury.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
Yeah, it's very, very, and it's actually used in assassination attempts in Russia because it kills people.
So
Yeah.
people who have come onto this webinar are getting a little bonus info there in case they want to assassinate anyone.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, it gets into our brains. It will prevent certain parts of our brain from communicating with each other. It prevents the absorption of nutrients. It's very, very nasty. So it's definitely involved in people that have brain fog or that have chronic fatigue. And so there's just a lot of these insidious metals that people aren't aware of, that we're breathing them in and eating them every day.
Now, I know that the book Limitless Energy really focuses on this, and I think Mineral Power really focuses on detoxing from heavy metals. So you kind of zeroed in your focus on that. Is that because you believe this is the primary cause of fatigue and like the biggest needle mover for people to get better?
Yes, there's a lot of different causes of fatigue. And I feel like if you're eating a really good diet and you're doing a reasonable amount of exercise and you're going in the sun and you're just doing a lot of things for your health and you're still exhausted or you're even too tired to do those things, I think toxins are a primary driver of fatigue. And they're definitely a primary driver of disease today. There's new diseases we have that we didn't have, 30 years ago. Yeah. And the reason is because we have more and more and more chemicals and toxins unleashed into our environment every single day. And it's only going to get worse. So you have to have a daily detox strategy in order to combat all the toxins that we have in our body and that we're going to be exposed to every day.
Yeah. You just reminded me of a little quote from Joe Pizzorno's book where he talks about, this is a guy who's been in practice for so many decades, and he talks about 30, 40 years ago, how the types of health problems that they were seeing in the clinic were more around nutrient deficiencies and things of that nature. And now they're seeing problems that are mostly related to toxicities and just too much accumulation of too much nasty stuff in the body.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have 100,000 chemicals and dozens of metals, and no one is exempt. I mean, at some point, these toxins cause various problems in your body. And, you have to be thinking at some point, if you get a diagnosis or have fatigue or severe brain fog, you really want to be thinking about detoxification and adding that to your health regime.
Yeah, for sure. And I have to say that just on a more personal note, for me and my exploration of the science around this area, I have really kind of avoided the area of toxins. And it's been mostly intentional, actually. And the reason why is just because there's so much pseudoscientific garbage out on the subject of toxins and detoxing that I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't even want to be associated with the people that were talking about it. And what I really love about what you've done is you've brought so much science into it. And it's not just about, oh, here's pop this colon cleanser pill and do a colonic and detox and drink green juices. And, it's not vague allusions to like random toxins. It's like, no, let's talk about this specific toxin, this specific metal. What are the specific physiological mechanisms? What's the research around, the specific ways that science has shown you can detox this specific chemical? And just, I love that you've brought in the science to what is otherwise a largely kind of woo-woo, kind of wacky pseudoscientific area.
Yeah, well, it's really completely selfish because I really just trying to figure out how to detox myself. But I'm kind of a nerd, so I like to read all this stuff and read science and medical journals and things since I was a teenager. So it's just, I don't know, I just kind of write the article that I would want to read if I was looking to delve into that subject. So that's really where it came about. That I get annoyed too when I read, do a 3-day juice cleanse or this 10-day detox in a box. It's a bunch of BS. And so for me, I just want to talk about and for myself, learn what are the most effective detox protocols, what supplements remove this particular metal that you might have. Like, what are the top supplements to remove mercury or to remove cesium or very rare metals people have? Sometimes I have clients that have beryllium toxicity or have gadolinium toxicity, or things that are really not well known. And so really for any type of metal that I'm able to find on a urine, hair, or stool metals analysis, we have a solution for it.
Very cool. So on that note, let's get into some of the practical side of things. Like, so we've talked about, what can happen when you're toxic in these metals, and just the fact that almost everybody is pretty much guaranteed to be toxic in something, and probably multiple things. And it's at least a contributor to fatigue, if not the primary cause. So understanding that, what are some practical things that we can now do with that knowledge, and how do we get rid of the toxins?
So if someone's listening and they are like, you know what, I don't really have the money to work with a practitioner or do a bunch of testing, there's things that you can do at home. So I'd like to give people practical tips for things they can start today. And my two favorite supplements are Pectacell C and BioCell. So Pectacell C is a binder, and it's just made from it's modified citrus pectin essentially, but it has a lot of research behind it. It's the only modified citrus pectin with clinical studies behind it. And we know that it binds onto metals and toxins and chemicals, and you urinate them out. And it's a blood cleanser. It gets into your blood and starts cleaning it up. And if you're on a detox program, it's indispensable to bind onto any metals that you're mobilizing while doing an infrared sauna or any kind of detox protocol or supplementation program. Mm-hmm. And with Pectacell C, you want to take about 5 to 10 grams of it per day. And you want to take it about an hour away from medication, supplements, and food, because it's a binder. You don't want it binding up to, your thyroid medication or what have you. Mm-hmm. And then I also really love BioCell, because BioCell is one of the main and most effective supplements for detoxing the metals that cause fatigue. So aluminum, arsenic, tin, thallium, and cesium. And antimony as well, which I have in my water, my tap water. So you'd want to take about 6 to 10 drops per day. And for some people, that's going to be too much, because if they have severe chronic fatigue, 1 to 2 drops may be just enough for them, because you're starting, when you take this BioCell, you start to mobilize the metals that cause fatigue. So it can take energy to process them. And you want to make sure, if you're taking BioCell, that you're also taking the binder Pectacell C to bind to all the things that you're mobilizing the BioCell. And BioCell is interesting because it's actually marketed as a hair, skin, and nail product. It has a certain form of silica in it, so it gives you really strong, healthy hair. My clients turn into little healthy chia pets with their hair. But a lot of people taking it don't realize that they're taking a really strong detox agent. So just be aware when you're taking it, how you feel. 'Cause one time I thought, I'll take 20 drops a day. And so I started taking a lot, and within about a week, I'm like, God, I'm so tired. What is going on? And then I realized, like, oh, okay, hello, I'm taking too much BioCell. So be a little bit careful with them. Yeah.
Now, well, first of all, are there any other tips that you want to give around that? Or well, actually, you know what? Before we get into that, I have a couple questions around BioCell. So it's silica primarily, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so it's mobilizing toxins. Do you know how it actually works to do that?
Well, it just binds onto them. So BioCell is attached, the silica in the BioCell is attached to a choline molecule. So that makes it have a particular bonding affinity for trivalent metals. Valence speaks to how things bond to each other. So it'll specifically bond onto trivalent metals like arsenic, aluminum, tin, thallium, and cesium. So it won't bind to other metals beyond that.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, I know that a lot of the toxins are actually stored kind of in tissues, and specifically fat cells. I've heard some people say that in order to mobilize those toxins effectively, you kind of have to be in a state of physiology where you're losing fat to some extent. Can you talk a little bit about that? Is that true, or is it possible to mobilize a lot of toxins and detox without necessarily losing any fat?
No, you don't have to be losing fat. I mean, that certainly could be helpful. I mean, especially if, a lot of people that are overweight, they are so because it's a protective mechanism, because the body needs to store chemicals somewhere. And one of the reasons that 2/3 of Americans are overweight is because all the chemicals in the food that we have in the air, food, and water. So a lot of people do have toxins stored in their fat. But you don't have to be on an active weight loss program to lose weight, because toxins are stored elsewhere. There's a ton of lead and aluminum in our bones. There's toxins stored in our brain, in our nervous system, in our muscles and our connective tissue. There's toxins can be stored everywhere. So you definitely do not have to be on a weight loss program. But, for people who are looking to lose weight, doing infrared saunas and taking detox supplements, really, really advised if you're doing a weight loss program.
Okay. So you just mentioned infrared saunas. Is that one of the other things that you were going to talk about? So how does that relate to detoxing?
Yeah, so infrared saunas are one of my favorite detox protocols. And this is another thing that you can do without working with a practitioner. And essentially, there's few different types of infrared saunas. So a lot of people have heard me talk about these before. But there's your typical sauna that you have at your gym. And that's not the sauna that I'm talking about. That's like a typical Finnish sauna, Swedish sauna, and it doesn't have the infrared rays that penetrate you inside your body and heat you up from the inside out. So that's what we're looking for. So that will be had with a far infrared sauna. And those are great. Those are the typical wooden saunas that you'll see at a doctor's office or acupuncturist office or whatnot. But what I really, really like are near infrared saunas. So these are a bulb sauna. They have these red light bulbs on them. And because they have heat and light, the light will activate your mitochondria and act or simulate the rays of the sun to help you, your mitochondria charge up and power up, just as if you were sitting in the sun. And we know it's a really important component to increasing energy levels in our body. So not only do you get the detox benefit from sitting in a sauna and benefiting from the red light therapy and the near infrared rays of the sauna, but it's a really incredibly effective detox agent.
Beautiful. So because it's heating you up from the inside, is it just the act of sweating that's releasing the toxins, or what's actually going on, I guess, on a deeper physiological level that's causing a detox during sauna exposure?
Yeah, so it's working on a number of levels. Number one, the rays penetrate inside, so they heat up your cells. So it's almost like a hormesis action where it shocks your body. The heat, it's kind of a shock therapy that causes your cells to release toxins and to mobilize them. You also release things that are called heat shock proteins. These are components of your immune system. So you start killing off pathogens and viruses, and they can really help to keep infections under control. But you're also, like I said, sweating out all kinds of metals and chemicals, and there's a number of different actions. I mean, but that's kind of the main one, that the heat kind of shocks your body. It's almost like inducing a faux fever, where it raises your body temperature 2 or 3 degrees Fahrenheit, and that ends up just helping your body to release toxins.
Beautiful. So is there a recommended way, like a full protocol that you have for kind of putting some of these pieces together? Is there, do you have any favorite or kind of your top most effective detox protocols that you'd recommend for people?
Yeah, really the infrared sauna, that's really one of my favorite ones that you can do at home, or you can go to a spa. You can go on, I think it's called, I forget what the name of the website is, but it's Spa Finder, spafinder.com. You can go on spafinder.com and find a sauna near you. You can also get, this is a really nice infrared LED system. You can get it on Amazon. It's called CM Vision IR130. And so that's a really, really nice LED therapy as well for near infrared that I'll use as well in my sauna.
Is that one 850 nanometers?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, very good.
Very cool. So that's so sauna, do you recommend combining that with the BioSil and citrus pectin in any way?
Yeah, absolutely. When you're doing infrared sauna, you're mobilizing a lot of metals and chemicals. So it's a really good idea to take a binder like the Pectisol C or any modified citrus pectin to absorb all the chemicals that you're releasing.
Beautiful. So how does one know if they're toxic? Is there a way? Are there good diagnostic tests? Is it based on symptoms? If somebody's watching this and they have no clue if their fatigue or maybe some of their other symptoms are related to toxins or any of the metals you've been talking about, how can they find that out?
Well, I always advise testing. I think people are always really surprised. I mean, I have very, very healthy people that I've tested, like Ben Greenfield or other people. I've done testing with Dr. Joe Mercola, and people are very surprised to see what toxins they have coming out of their body that they weren't aware of. So
yeah, I know we talked about you doing a test for me, so I'm sure you promised me that I'd be shocked. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, we need to set that up, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so even if you feel really, really healthy, you're still going to have toxins. I mean, as a rule, everyone has mercury, everyone has lead, everyone has aluminum. It's impossible to avoid. And so what's really important about testing is to figure out what particular substances or supplements that you need to take to remove your particular set of metals from your body. So I begin with a hair mineral analysis when I'm working with clients on my mineral power detox program. And that's, just take some hair from the back of your head. You can usually live without it. I know some people kind of panic when they have to think of cutting some of their hair off. But we use that. You just send that to the lab. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. And that gives us a tremendous amount of information about what's going on in your body, your mineral levels. It will give us a lot of your metals, but not all of them. There's no perfect test. There's no test that will tell you all of the metals that you have in your body. Then I also like to do urine tests with people if I think that that's warranted. That will give us another set of metals that are not available to be seen in a hair mineral analysis. And there's certain metals we can only see in stool, like cadmium and silver. Toxicity from metal fillings. We can only see that with a stool test. So there's a whole range of tests. But like I said, we start with a hair mineral analysis and go from there and take a health history.
Okay. So when you're doing like a urine test or a stool test, do you have to do like a challenge test where you provoke release of some of these compounds, or are they just floating around in sort of the bloodstream all the time?
Yeah, so the hair mineral analysis, that's not needed because the hair gives about a 3-month average of what's being deposited from the body into the hair. The hair is kind of like a garbage can on your head, and your body will release a lot of toxins through your hair. And then with the urine, that is a provocation. That is a DMSA provocation, and not everyone can do that. If you're too ill, that's not recommended for you. And then stool test is not a provocation. Gotcha.
So what do you recommend as far as next steps? So let's say somebody believes that, or suspects that they have, some kind of toxicity, and based on, the fact that, like we talked about, these things are everywhere and pretty much everyone is toxic in something. It's a safe bet that that's the case. So what's kind of the next steps for listeners and people watching this who want to start detoxing? Should they just get Pectisol C and BioSil and start going into a sauna and just kind of have at it? Or what if they want to take things to the next level?
Yes, and that's certainly a beginning. I mean, there's certainly a lot of people that are dabbling in detox on their own, but ultimately it takes a trained professional to do the testing, to interpret the testing and figure out what customized supplement protocol that you need to detox, because it's, it's a long road. Even if you have done a detox program before, it's one of those things where it's not something you do for a few months. When I work with people, I try to teach them this is a lifelong strategy. These are what I'm trying to teach you is the tools and protocols and supplements that you can take for life to detox your body. And so if someone wants to do some testing, I have a special for my Mineral Power Detox program of $100 off. You go to store.live110.com and press Mineral Power. And when you purchase your program, you type in MP Energy 100. So that's in all caps. And then you'll get $100 off my Mineral Power Detox program.
So do you want to take some questions now, or?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to be here and answer all of your questions until we're done. So if anyone has any questions for me, just ask, just type it in to Webinar Jam, and I will answer them live on the air.
Beautiful. Well, in the meantime, thank you so much, Wendy. This has been absolutely great information, and I really appreciate you sharing it with my audience.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking with us through all of our technical difficulties. These webinars are always so much fun. There's always so much going on, and I really appreciate your participation and asking all sorts of questions. So now I'm going to be answering questions live on the air. You're going to be asking them. So bring it. Bring the questions. So the first one will be answering is Ruth. How can you tell if your body can handle a detox? Well, you try one. That's the best way to find out if you can handle one. And you can just start with a couple of products. BioSil is a really good one to try, or coriander seed oil by Panacea is a really good one to try. And if you have multiple health conditions, if you've got multiple diagnoses, or you have severe chronic fatigue, or you're very, very ill, you probably are not going to handle a detox very well. But it's still warranted to do testing. So to do a Mineral Power program and do some testing, you can also typically always take Pectosol C. Most people don't have a reaction to Pectosol C, though some do. But Pectosol C is not a detox in as much as it's a binder, and it will bind to a lot of chemicals and metals in your body. So it will really facilitate the detox process without putting a large burden on your detox organs. So that's a really good one to start with if you feel you're a little bit worried that you can't handle a detox. And our other program, our bioenergetic program with Ness Health, this is a really good thing to try if you have tried a detox before and it has not worked, or you are very, very ill. We don't want to put the cart before the horse. I mean, you guys on here, you probably know that you need to detox. Everyone needs to detox. But the problem is we need to get your body functioning to a certain level before you drop this nuclear bomb, also known as detox, on it. And I'm totally joking. I mean, most people handle detox just fine without any problems or symptoms whatsoever. But some people don't. And so in those cases, Ness bioenergetic program would be ideal for those people. And that's where I recommend people start, because what it does is that it clears energetic blockages on your meridians and other places in your body, so that your body just functions better. And there's a lot of people leaving their testimonials, in the chat, people that have tried Ness before, right? Anyone that has tried Ness and is listening, tell us how you've been doing on the program. I mean, even some clients do really good within just 30 days. Some takes a little bit longer, like 60 or 90 days, and they kind of figure it out, learn how to do it correctly. But a lot of people have pretty profound results within 30 days, like myself, like my dog Jezebel. We've actually brought on a veterinarian to do Ness for animals, because I think that's, people want to take care of their animals too. So we're going to provide that for you guys. So that would be my suggestion, is if you feel like detox doesn't work for you, or you're worried about detox, or you're really, really ill, or homebound, or extremely chronically fatigued, or you've tried a detox before and it doesn't work, begin with Ness, and your health will improve to the point where then you can begin the process of detoxification when it's necessary for everyone to reach their health goals. So I hope I was thorough enough there. So the next question here. So Preston, do these detox products deal with liver gallstones? So no, they don't. So that's we want to get your liver working, your gallbladder working to aid detoxification, because the gallbladder stores bile and you need bile to detox. And so we need our liver functioning really well. Stones can form in the bile ducts of the liver, so that's going to create a problem. So you want to be sure that you work on those and clear those out before you start on a detoxification program. If you go on my website, if anyone can, the moderators can give the link, there's a link to a liver gallbladder flush. And that's what I would recommend, doing that until you feel like you've cleared the gallstones, and you can verify that with an ultrasound. And so that's what I would do prior to embarking on a detoxification program. And so next question here is, let's see. So Sandra, so I had stool heavy metals testing done, and I have way too much uranium and tungsten. So what do I do besides IV chelation? So let's see. Only presenters can type in the chat. So we're having some technical difficulties here. So let's find out what's going on here. Okay, so for this question, I had stool heavy metals testing done. So if you have uranium, so there's several ways to detox uranium other than IV chelation. So I don't recommend IV chelation unless you're have such high levels of toxicity that it's something you need to do to save your life. There's a time and a place for that. And that's typically the treatment you're going to get if you go to a hospital and you have an acute exposure to a toxic metal, or you'll get that if you go to a conventional or even functional medicine doctor that's dabbling in detoxification. That's typically the treatment that you'll get. However, I don't recommend it because uranium can be removed by a lot of different substances. So uranium can be removed with modified citrus pectin, and it can also be removed with EDTA suppositories. So that's really my drug of choice for uranium, to remove uranium toxicity. I find that that's really one of the more effective products that can use for uranium, and also zeolites. Zeolites also effective at removing uranium. I like ACZ zeolite. Cytodetox works as well. There's a lot of very good products for uranium out there. Tungsten, on the other hand, can only be removed with DMSA, but I recommend doing either oral or DMSA, where you take a capsule that's only going to be available at a compounding pharmacy. Do not want to do IV chelation of DMSA because it can damage the kidneys. And so while, yes, it will remove the metals and it will bring those metal levels down, the problem is that it can damage your kidneys. So it's just not worth it. You want to do something a little bit safer. And so the DMSA suppositories you can get over the counter. Those are available in our store. We have a brand called Zeptil, which is very, very good. And when inserted rectally, those absorb very well. They're absorbed through the colon wall into the body, work very, very well. Same with the Zeptil EDTA suppositories. I'm sorry, it's by Kelatox. The brand is Kelatox EDTA suppositories, and those are shown in clinical trials to, if you do 3 of those a week, to work just as well as one IV chelation of EDTA. And so unfortunately, doing DMSA IV chelation will not remove your uranium. It will remove tungsten, however, but I don't recommend it. So next question here. So Tisha, what are your thoughts on the detox cube from Quicksilver? So, Quicksilver Scientific by Chris Shade has fantastic products. I have all of their products on my store except for the liposomal EDTA because I don't believe that would work. But I really, really like all of their products. And the Detox Cube is a great thing to do. Here's the thing, though, for the price of the Detox Cube, you could get a one-on-one consult with a practitioner and get a customized protocol designed for you. Because the detox cube is about $750, I believe. And so while it works and why it might be a start, I think that working one-on-one with a practitioner and doing testing to find out what metals you have is a better use of your funds and your dollars than buying a kind of a detox in a box. But I still think it's a great thing. Maybe it can kick off a detox. But there's some things in it like clear away cofactors, definitely not something you want to take if you have anxiety, because it could probably send your anxiety through the roof. So there's some contraindications with it that only working with one-on-one with a qualified health practitioner that's an expert in detoxification is going to be able to tell you about and help you avoid certain landmines, of which there are many when it comes to detoxification. So the next question I am going to answer. Tom, is there a way of increasing the effectiveness of liposomal glutathione? Not really that I'm aware of. There are certain things that, you can do to, supplements that you can take to naturally increase the production of glutathione, like taking the cofactors like NAC, N-acetylcysteine, and by taking selenium. One little thing you could do to increase the effectiveness of liposomal glutathione is to perhaps take it at night. Your body detoxes primarily at night, so that can be really, really helpful, just to increase the effectiveness perhaps a little bit. So anyone else, I'm going to answer your question. So what is the name of the stool test that you use? I use Trace Minerals International. I think they're an excellent lab. They're based in Germany. They have a lab here in Colorado in the United States. So that's my preferred lab because it shows minerals and metals. And unfortunately, a lot of the other labs that do urine and hair mineral analysis do not do stool testing. And for stool, that's the way to see cadmium and silver. You can see other metals as well, but that's primarily what I use it for, is to detect cadmium toxicity, because you very rarely see that on a hair mineral analysis, and you'll almost always only see normal levels on a urine test. And so the problem with that is it makes people, or gives them peace of mind. It's a false negative that they don't have it, when they in fact can have very, very high levels of cadmium. And cadmium is a concern because it causes more cancers than all of the other metals combined. So you really need to be aware if you have cadmium in your body and take measures to reduce that metal, of which the most effective is EDTA suppositories. So my favorite is the Kelotox brand. So that's what I use to get rid of my cadmium. So next person here. So can one use any modified citrus pectin from a reputable vendor, or is Pectisol C unique? So you can use any brand of modified citrus pectin. The thing is that Pectisol C is the only brand with clinical trials behind it that shows cancer cell apoptosis or cancer cell death when taking Pectisol C. And it also it just has a lot of clinical trials behind it. And it's also a very fine powder. So some of the other brands may not be as fine, and they may not dissolve as well and clump up. And so they can present problems in that way. But other brands are just fine. They all do work. It's just, I feel more comfortable recommending Pectisol C to my clients because it's from a very reputable brand, Econugenics, and also because it has the clinical studies behind it. So the next question here, hair mineral analysis showed high levels of strontium. How to detox that? So high levels of strontium don't necessarily mean that you're strontium toxic. However, you can be. The problem with the mass spectrometry technology that's used to determine the metals that you have on your hair mineral analysis is that they cannot distinguish between nutrient strontium and toxic strontium. So they're just different forms of the mineral. Like for chromium, you guys have heard of Erin Brockovich and the film about her life. Hexavalent chromium was what was causing cancers and a lot of the kids in that movie. But that can be seen on a hair mineral analysis, but you can't distinguish between that and the nutrient form of chromium. So as far as strontium is concerned, when that is high on a hair mineral analysis, that's really more a sign of bone loss. And usually that happens concurrently when calcium is also elevated on a hair mineral analysis. And so when the calcium, barium, and strontium are elevated, and you're only going to see this on Trace Elements International hair test, that means that you're probably having bone loss. So your body has a biochemical imbalance, usually propagated by stress, that is causing calcium to release and strontium to release out of the bone. So that's the most likely scenario. You can become strontium toxic. I do have an article on live110.com about strontium toxicity. And so you certainly can search for strontium on the website and learn more about that. But most likely just bone loss, which you need to take calcium, magnesium to reverse. So next question is, let's see. So I had a stool heavy metals test done. Okay, I already answered that one. When on Ness, what would be the top supplements you would recommend? I really love, when you're doing a Nest Health bioenergetic program that we offer, you also need to provide nutritional support. So Nest Health is great because it clears energetic blockages in your body, but you also have to feed your body nutrition. So what I would recommend as a simplified program is Oceans Alive Marine Phytoplankton, because that is a nutrient or a supplement that provides all of the nutrients required by the human body. It's got 180 different nutrients in it. It has all the trace minerals, macro minerals, vitamins. It's got SOD in it. It's superoxide dismutase, which you don't get in very many foods in your diet, if at all. And that's really, really helpful as an antioxidant to fight free radicals and detox your body, which is why people feel really good when they take it. And so it's also food-based nutrients. I think it has a much higher absorption rate than a typical synthetic multivitamin. And so that's why I recommend it to clients. Also, you want to take every day magnesium, 5 times your body weight in milligrams per day. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you want to take 1,000 milligrams per day of magnesium. And you can also take Pectosol C. I think that's really helpful just generally to begin detoxing your body. And that's something that you can take every day. But that's what I'd recommend for nutritional support. Usually people need a little bit more selenium as well, and zinc. That can be helpful in addition to what you'd get in the Oceans Alive. And so the next questions here I'm going to answer are, so Rosemary, on the urine and other tests Wendy just talked about, does she require we go to our own clinic for that? I know the hair sample is sent to her first. So all the tests that we do can be done in the comfort of your own home. They're all done remotely. So we just send the kits to you. And so you can do a urine test or a stool test or any of the functional medical tests that we offer done at home. You don't have to go to a clinic or anything. You just send those directly to the lab, and we give you all the directions to do that. And we have a customer support. You can always call if you have questions about that as well. If you go on store.live110.com, there's a phone number in the top right-hand corner, and you can just do a phone call, and we'll either be answering or we'll return your call if you have any questions. And so the next question I'm going to answer is, let's see, is Pectosol C the only binder that I recommend? So there's other binders that I recommend. Pectosol C is my favorite. I like it because it's a blood cleanser, so it will bind to toxins in your blood. But there's other binders that are great as well that will bind to metals in your gut. So I really like IMD. It's Intestinal Metal Detox by Quicksilver Scientific. And what that does is it's a special form of silica that will bind to mercury, cadmium, copper, and lead in your gut. And if you consume any toxins in your diet, or those metals specifically, it will prevent those reabsorbing through your colon or through your small intestine or through your liver back into your body. So it prevents that recirculation. Because what happens is, how these metals get into our bodies is, say you're consuming a piece of fish, some tuna, for example, that's got mercury and cadmium in it. The IMD will bind to that, and you'll excrete it in your stool rather than absorbing it, having your liver, while it's trying to extract nutrients from that fish, it will also inadvertently be extracting mercury and cadmium from that fish as well. So we obviously want to avoid that, and IMD is very, very good at doing that. There's other less expensive binders. Bentonite clay is really nice. There's also French green clay. These aren't things we use on our program so much, but they're options, and the clays can have aluminum in them. But I don't believe that aluminum in the clay gets into your body. I think that, these clays bind metals up in them, and I don't believe that aluminum gets into your body. It's bound into the matrix of the clay, and you just end up excreting it. Zeolite is also a great binder as well, and that detoxes a lot of different metals. There's a lot of different kinds of zeolites. So with zeolites, you can have powdered forms, you can have liquid forms. There's a nano particleized zeolite called Detox. There's a lot of different kinds, a lot of different brands. So with zeolites, those will get antimony, barium, cesium, copper, manganese, nickel, tin, and uranium. The only reason I don't like zeolites, and that's my second choice as a binder, is because it can dramatically reduce zinc and copper. And I've seen this happen with a number of clients. You guys know who you are. That if used for too long, or use too strong a product like Detox, I've seen zinc precipitously drop. And that's going to negatively impact immune function, among other things needed for zinc, like digestive enzymes, making digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid. So that's why I don't like zeolites so much, though I will use them depending on the metals that people have, the severity of their metals, and if they're allergic or they just don't respond well to the pectosol C, which happens. Some people are sensitive to it, or it can give them diarrhea or intestinal discomfort. This is a very, very small percentage of people, but it does happen. But we do have alternative binders if that happens. So the next question here, I am on your Mineral Power program and started out taking the recommended 650 milligrams of magnesium. And okay, the question just went away. So I don't know where we're at. And that caused loose stools, and I have to cut back to half of that. Sorry, the question keeps disappearing. My stools are loose, but I'm concerned. Let's wait for this question to pop up. I'm concerned I'm not getting enough magnesium to thoroughly detox. Any thoughts? So the alternative to that, what if you take magnesium, the key to taking magnesium is taking it to bowel tolerance. So if you're taking a form of magnesium, one that I recommend, or one that you're taking at home, there's certain magnesiums that are going to be more prone to causing loose bowels. Magnesium citrate is one of those ones. It's great to take if you're constipated, but for many people, it causes loose bowels. So I don't recommend magnesium citrate for many, many reasons. But if you're taking magnesium malate, which is usually my first choice, or magnesium glycinate, which is also a good choice, or magnesium threonate, if these forms do cause loose bowels, then a really good alternative is to do transdermal magnesium. So take the amount of oral magnesium that you can handle, and then switch to my favorite product, which is Ease by Activation Products. So this is a magnesium chloride, and it's transdermal. So each spray has 27 milligrams of magnesium chloride, and it's the highest quality magnesium chloride that you can get. There's other products like Ancient Minerals. I don't know if you guys have tried that before, but it's very greasy. It's like you become this oil slick after you put it on, and it's very itchy. And so it drove me insane. And I used it product once, never will use that product again. And that's because it uses the lowest grade of magnesium chloride available. It's very cheap. But with the ease, it's like a water. You spray it on your body and it just glides right on and it absorbs into your skin. It can cause a little bit of itchiness if your skin's really dry or you're very, very sensitive. But I don't have any problems with it. I really, really like it. And that's what I recommend to you if you're having some bowel intolerance. You can also take Epsom salt baths. That will give you some magnesium sulfate. And that's a great way also to get transdermal magnesium. So what about activated charcoal as a binder? Yes, that's a very good question. That's a fantastic binder as well. And it's fine on a short-term basis. The reason I don't like it, it's indiscriminate. It just kind of absorbs everything. You can, be taking a lot of vital minerals as well with the, when taking activated charcoal. And it's great. Say if you've ingested a poison like wine or alcohol or something of that nature, and you want to protect your liver and prevent it from having to process that poison, activated charcoal is my first go-to product. But on a long-term basis, I don't like it because I think it's a little bit too strong. There are new forms of activated charcoal out there that don't have that same effect. I'm going to try to find it right now because I have it in my notes, but I don't remember offhand exactly the name of it. So I'll try to get the name of it for you right here. It's probably going to take me a minute to find this, but I'm going to try. But ultimately, activated charcoal is, it's not something that I would recommend for a number of reasons on a long-term basis. So I'm really sorry. I can't find the charcoal here. Here it is. Okay. It's called Toxin Buster brand. And the form of charcoal is C60. So it does not remove everything indiscriminately like activated charcoal. So handy to have my notes all ready for you guys. That's why I don't use it on my program because it's just too strong. Okay, so more questions here. So Jennifer, can I do infrared saunas with breast implants? So yes, you can. There's just a few cautions. As you guys know, I had breast implants that I got when I was 19, when I was not exactly studying to be a brain surgeon, and just figured out I had to have those. So I got breast implants and had them for 25 years. And I used an infrared sauna a lot of times with breast implants. The thing with infrared saunas is if you wear clothing, say if you wear a bra, that will prevent the infrared rays from penetrating the bra and then heating up the implant. However, your body temperature in general will raise 2 to 3 degrees when doing an infrared sauna. So this conceivably can cause the implants to off-gas chemicals. So I actually just got a document today that shows all the different implants and all the different metals and chemicals in each implant. So I'll be doing a blog post about that very soon. Because I think that's very important. A lot of women today have breast implants, breast augmentations, and we need to inform everyone that they are very toxic and they can cause breast implant illness and add an additional toxic burden to an already toxic burden and toxic world. And so, you still can use them in an infrared sauna. I don't recommend avoiding infrared saunas just because you have breast implants, because I think that the benefits far, far, far outweigh the negative effects. Even if you don't use an infrared sauna, the implants and the plastics and the solvents and all the things that are used in the capsule of the breast implant are still going to off-gas, so to speak, or leach into your body. And so it's a kind of there's no winning that situation. So I would prefer that you do an infrared sauna, at least continue, try to release as many toxins as you can. And so the next question, Kay, I recently ordered the Nest Health and Mineral Power program. Would it be best to do them together at the same time, or should we do them separately? So that is really up to you. So what I recommend for people is you certainly can do them at the same time if you're able to accomplish that and if your finances allow, because it can get very expensive. So that's really up to you. What I generally recommend is that people do Nest Health for a period of time, that can be 6 months to a year, especially if they have multiple health conditions. Clean up your body. And that will get your body, you'll have more energy, better brain function. And clients really like it because they get quick results with it. They feel better a lot quicker than they do with detoxification, though we know we have to detox. But detox can be slow. It takes a couple of years doing a focused detox program to, very slowly and safely remove metals from your body. So with Nest Health, that gets your body detoxing better. So it gets your skin working better, your colon, your kidneys, your liver, all of your digestive organs functioning much better. It does begin the detox process in and of itself. And it gets you feeling a lot better. And it gives you the energy that you need to detox. So for any of you guys listening, you can do them concurrently, but you can also do them, separately. I would recommend Nest Health first for 6 to 12 months, or until you feel really, really good, and then you can start a detox program and take all the supplements, for the Mineral Power program. But it's really up to you and how you want to approach your health. We have links to if you want to do a free 15-minute consult, you're more than welcome to do that. If any of the moderators, can you please post the link to do a free 15-minute consult? Because that's something that you can do to find out which program is right for you. And answer any questions that you have above and beyond what we're going to answer in the webinar if we aren't able to cover your question in the webinar. So that's an option that we provide for you guys so that you can find out what's going to be right for you. Okay, so Brad, can you take an IR130 CM Vision LED therapy near infrared system into a far infrared sauna? Yes, you can. And I think that's a fantastic idea. I think these are near infrared LEDs are really my preference for adding bulbs or near infrared to a far infrared sauna. Because even if you have a full spectrum sauna, say you bought a really nice, expensive, full spectrum sauna where it's got near, mid, and far infrared technology in it, they usually don't have that much near infrared. Or they might have like a few bulbs in the top or something where it's just not really doing anything. So for $70, you can get the CM Vision near infrared LED and add near infrared to your sauna and enjoy the benefits of that. So very good question. So Christy, if I take Pectisol first thing in the morning, what time should I take the BioSil drops? Can BioSil be taken with other supplements? What about activated charcoal? So I answered the question earlier about activated charcoal. I don't recommend using that on a long-term basis. It's fine to take it once a week, 2 or 3 days at a time. But the problem with it, it's indiscriminate. It's too strong. It's not suitable for long-term use. So with the Pectisol C, that you want to take, you can take it at any time of day. You just want to take it an hour away from food, supplements, and medication. The BioSil, you want to take, it's a supplement. You want to take that away, 1 hour away from the Pectisol C. And you can take the BioSil, preferably between meals. You can take it up to 15 minutes prior to a meal. But the reason, it's probably not the end of the world if you take it with a meal, but I want to maximize absorption for you because it doesn't matter what supplements you take. It only matters what supplements that you absorb. So I want you to take the BioSil in between meals just so there's no competition and you maximally absorb the BioSil. Another way to maximally absorb the BioSil is to take it with an acid. So a citrus juice, orange, lemon, lime, grapefruit juice, pineapple. If you're sensitive to citrus, you can take it with some apple cider vinegar and some water, and that will provide you with enough citric acid to maximally absorb the BioSil. It just helps it to work a little bit better. So next question. Okay, I already have testing and it revealed thallium and lead poisoning as well as Marcons, which I understand is mold and it lives in my nasal passages. Would I still need to pay for a hair test when I already know what I have? And how do I detox these? Okay, so here's the thing. We have an option in the store. It says already have a hair test. If anyone has any kind of metals test and they would like me to review that and create a supplement protocol for them, that's the product that you purchase in the store. It's a big block says already have a hair test. I don't know what kind of testing you had, Susan. I think you meant urine testing. I already have a urine test, but I'm not really sure. There's a typo there. So it has to be urine because thallium can only be seen in urine. So here's the problem. So urine, some metals come out in the urine, some in the stool, some in the hair. So while you certainly can start a detox program with only a urine test to go by, that's fine. You can get started detoxing, no problem. At some point, not right away, but at some point, I'd recommend doing a hair mineral analysis because it gives you a different set of data. And there's metals that are not going to be on the urine test that you can see on the hair test. So that's up to you. The thing with the difference in price between the already have a hair test and mineral power is very small. So it's a better value for you to purchase a mineral power program to get started. And I will still evaluate your other urine tests and, incorporate that information and data into the custom supplement protocol that's created for you. So that's what I would recommend. So how do you detox thallium? So the best way to detox thallium is with BioSil. BioSil is a form of silica that I recommend for detoxing thallium. Also potassium, taking any kind of form of potassium except bicarbonate. Just avoid potassium bicarbonate because it can reduce stomach acid secretions, which most people really don't want to be doing because a lot of people have compromised digestion. So potassium is great, but number one is BioSil to detox thallium. So do you also have lead poisoning? So by poisoning, I assume you mean it's really high levels. I would do Kelotox EDTA suppositories. But again, you really want to be working with a health professional to look at your entire health history and to make your recommendations for you based on any diagnosis that you may have, any other toxic metals that you may have, because that's really the safest way to go about things because you may not be, ready to do Kelotox EDTA suppositories. So that's why I recommend working with a health practitioner. You can't put the cart before the horse. We need to look at you as an individual, as a whole person, with all of your medical tests and, metals tests and health history to be able to make a correct recommendation for you. So the next question here is, Wendy, does Wendy give infoceuticals on the skin instead of by mouth? So you want to do it by mouth. I mean, I think that's the preferred way. Usually people will do infoceuticals on the skin if they're extremely sensitive and they've tried to take infoceuticals by mouth and they've had really, really strong reactions to it. Then we recommend just doing a drop or two on the skin and allowing it to absorb that way. So you would want to start by mouth, by taking the infoceuticals by mouth prior to doing it on the skin. But they both work. I mean, you still get the energetic remedy that's imprinted onto the colloidal mineral water, regardless of whether you do it by mouth or by skin. So the next one is Ruth. What is the best way to detox mercury from the brain? So the best way to do that is with a few different products. So Life Extension Super R lipoic acid is a fat-soluble lipoic acid, sodium R lipoic acid. So this is very, very, very different product from alpha lipoic acid, which I don't recommend. And it's also different from water-soluble sodium R lipoic acids, which are the most of the products on the market today. So because a Life Extension Super R lipoic acid, which is available in the store, our store, I recommend that because it's fat soluble. So the brain will take in that fat and it will remove metals from the brain, including mercury. It also will clean up arsenic from the cranial cavity as well. Other things that you can take are, let's see here, I have my little cheat sheet here. Curcumin is really helpful as well. Also, let's see. I mean, really would do the liposomal. I'm sorry. I would really do the sodium R-lipoic acid by life extension as like the first step in detoxing mercury from the brain. Coriander seed oil by Panacea is also really, really good because because it's a fat, the brain will take it in, and that will also detox mercury from the brain very slowly and very safely. So that would be my recommendation. Let's see. So Tisha, do you recommend your program for someone with only one kidney? Yeah, absolutely. Because the program that we do, it's very, very safe. It's a slow detoxification. And I have had plenty of clients with one kidney that haven't had any problems whatsoever. So it's perfectly safe to do if you are missing a kidney. Okay, so my daughter is going to college and I want a water filter that's not too expensive. Is the Ultra Pure Effect enough? Currently, I have a Kangen water machine at home. So yes, the Ultra Pure Effects water filter, those are the filters I recommend. That's the one that I use personally, frankly, because I had uranium in my water, and the only filter that removes that is the Pure Effects water filter. And they're also very unique because they have a filtration component or attachment that will kill radiation. They also have one for pathogens. They have extra cartridges for chlorine and fluoride, and you can build any kind of custom system that you need based on your particular needs, whether you have well water or city water, or you want a whole house filter, or you want to filter just underneath your kitchen sink or on top of your kitchen sink. They have a lot of different solutions. So that's why I highly recommend them. And Igor, who owns the company, if you call them up, he will really help you out with, finding the right system for you. So that's what I recommend. I don't get super excited about the Kangen water machines because the water passes over platinum plates, and that can contaminate the water with platinum. And so that can be a problem with long-term consumption of Kangen water. So next question is Lisa. Inika powder foundation, makeup foundation irritated my eyes. I lost this question, of course. Where did it go? So someone was saying that the Inika makeup I've recommended on a blog post on my site irritated my eyes. Unfortunately, I can't find the question now. So I didn't see the rest of the question. But, here's the thing. There's always going to be something, even if it's a natural product, it can still irritate you. You can still be allergic to something in it. So you really have to find the product that works for you. I mean, their products were fine for me, but for someone who's really, 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 really sensitive, you might have to find a different product line that works for you. So really, that's the only answer to that question that I have. It's just everyone's a little bit different in what they react to. And some people are so hypersensitive that they can't even wear makeup, and they have to be really careful. And that's where the Nest Health bioenergetic program comes in, because it stops your immune system from overreacting to innocuous stimuli, that you shouldn't be reacting to. And that's one thing I love about the Nest Health program is addressing a sensitive immune system, constantly getting sick, autoimmune issues, food sensitivities, food allergies, anything that's gone awry in the immune system. The Nest Health system can help to calm down the immune system and to stop it from attacking your body or food proteins, and really works excellent at helping with immune system issues. So Marilyn, what is the best detox for high antimony? So the best things that remove antimony are BioSil, because antimony is a trivalent metal. So BioSil is a product that's particular affinity to bind to antimony to remove it from your body. The next one is DMSA, was certainly very effective at removing antimony. I don't recommend IV chelation. I recommend oral consumption, but you don't need to go there yet. If you've tried natural means and natural supplements to detox, only then do you go to maybe DEFCON 2, where you're going to go to that level. Like for me, I tried for 4 years to remove my mercury load and to bring it down. And after 4 years and I wasn't taking supplements like on the Mineral Power program. It took me many years of research to develop the program and curate it to the point where it is today and how effective it is. But for about 3 years, I took minerals, and then I started experimenting with other types of natural chelators and things like that. Still wasn't successful because I'd been a sushi addict for so many years. So then I decided to do oral DMSA to bring down my mercury levels. So that was a personal choice for me, and something that your Mineral Power practitioner will make that recommendation based on their judgment and your particular individual case. And the same thing happens for antimony. I wouldn't recommend doing DMSA until you have tried natural means. So other things that can remove it are EDTA suppositories. Modified citrus pectin will remove antimony. Zeolites will also remove antimony, and SAMe. So SAMe is also shown in the research to remove antimony. So I hope that answers your question. Sorry, can you please repeat the water filtration system that you like? How do you spell it? So if anyone could give her a link in the store to the Pure Effects water filtration page. So it's Pure Effects water filters. Those are the ones that I recommend, because I researched for months and months and months about water, researching on the internet. I ended up mistakenly buying a reverse osmosis filter and paying a lot of money for it. Complete waste of money. I can't even stand to take one drink of it, because reverse osmosis water does not hydrate you. There's something with the membrane that's used to filter the filtration medium for reverse osmosis filters, that it just damages the water in some way, and it doesn't penetrate your cells very effectively. So I found, for instance, when I went to Disneyland, they only had Dasani water, to my dismay, which is reverse osmosis, and I had to drink that all day, and within a couple of hours, I felt nauseated and dehydrated, because I was dehydrated because the water was not absorbing into my cells. And so I bid any of you to try an experiment where, if you have a reverse osmosis filtration system, drink that water for a week, then drink some spring water for a week, and then feel the difference for yourself. So if you're going to buy a filtration system, I recommend the Pure Effects filter. So Carol asked, I have Hashimoto's, thyroiditis, autoimmune disease. Can hair analysis find a way to go into remission? So any kind of thyroid issue is going to be caused in part by mercury toxicity. Mercury, everyone has mercury toxicity. It's completely unavoidable in our environment. It's in the fish, it's in the air, it's in our mercury fillings, it's in shellfish. It's in so many different things. If somebody could post a link to the Toxic Metals Sources and Symptoms Guide, which is an article on my website you can find by searching for heavy metals, that will list all the sources where we get mercury, and it's about this long. So a lot of different places that you can get that. And so what mercury does is it deposits in the thyroid, it deposits in the pituitary, and it deposits in the hypothalamus. And so it interferes in the production of thyroglobulin, and it interferes in the delicate feedback loop system, whereby the body is telling the thyroid to produce more thyroid hormone. So it just interferes in all of that. And so you have to detox mercury as part of your healing program to reverse your autoimmune issues. But again, the Nest Health bioenergetic program that we offer, I really think has the biggest hope of reversing autoimmune diseases, because it addresses the immune system. Like there's a screenshot in the Nest Health scan that you do that shows 15 different components of the functioning of your energetic immune system. And your energetic immune system controls your physical immune system in action. And so by addressing your immune system with the Nest Health bioenergetic program, that's one of the most effective ways to address autoimmune issues. And you can see it, reverse in 6 to 8 months. If you've had any condition, including autoimmune disease, for many, 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 many years, it's going to take longer to address that issue. But 6 to 8 months is a general rule of thumb in addressing, major health issues with the Nest Health Bioenergetic Program. And there's a link in the chat room to that, I believe. If anyone could post that again, that would be great. And yeah, you need to balance minerals with Hashimoto's. You need to detox mercury, among other metals. There's many toxic metals that interfere in immune system functioning, and they actually slow down the action of neutrophils and other type of white blood cells and natural killer T cells, and they influence their action and behavior. So a lot of different nutrients you need to take to heal your thyroid, all of which are provided on a mineral power program. So the next question, thank you so much, Wendy. I was tested recently in high-end copper, magnesium, selenium, zinc, lead, antimony, arsenic, cadmium, and tin. How can I begin to figure out the sources? I'm guessing magnesium is from a supplement, and I know I had lead exposure as a child. So with magnesium, you're not magnesium toxic. When magnesium is high on a hair mineral analysis, that means you're losing magnesium. You're having a magnesium loss due to stress. When we're stressed out, magnesium is one of the first things to be released from our cells, and then that will be excreted into the hair and then seen as high levels on a hair mineral analysis. So you ironically need to take magnesium 5 times your body weight per day in milligrams in order to rectify that situation. As far as all the other levels that you recommended as being high, with zinc, if you have high zinc, that's an underlying sign of cadmium toxicity, and you still need to take zinc, even though the zinc is high on a hair test. The problem with hair testing is that it takes years to learn how to read a hair mineral analysis, and it's never what you think as a layperson. It's usually the exact opposite of what you think as a layperson when looking at a hair mineral analysis and attempting to interpret it on your own. That's why I recommend, working with a practitioner, because you don't want to just do a hair test on your own and then start doing what's called symptomatic supplementation, where, oh, my magnesium is high, I don't need magnesium. Oh, my copper is low, I need to take copper. That's just not how it works, unfortunately. So it takes a lot of time and study to learn all this stuff. So you really can't interpret it on your own. But as far as the other metals that you mentioned that were high on your hair mineral analysis, the majority of those can be removed with BioSil and Pectisol. The BioSil will remove trivalent metals like arsenic, aluminum, tin, thallium, and cesium. And coriander seed oil or cilantro extract will remove mercury, lead, cadmium, manganese, and aluminum. So by taking those 2 products and Pectisol C, you can slowly but surely remove a lot of metals. Usually I'll give people additional products on their program because you need more help than that. But that's certainly a good place to start. And so I'm going to get some water because I'm starting to lose my voice. But I want to get to all of your questions. Okay, so the next question here. What dose of BioSil to remove antimony? So just the standard dose of BioSil is 6 to 10 drops per day. And you want to take that in some acidic juice, some citric acid, like orange juice or pineapple, or lemon, lime, grapefruit, whatever you like, or apple cider vinegar. And that's going to help it to absorb. But if you take that and it makes you really, really tired, you're probably very sensitive and you need to do fewer drops. So the 6 to 10 drops is what the majority of people can tolerate. I can do 15 drops a day because I've been taking it for quite some time. But other people can only do 1 or 2 drops. So you kind of have to play with it, pay attention to how you feel when you're taking it. If it makes you too tired to function, time to pull it back a little bit. If it makes it a little bit tired, push through, because you need to kind of push through to do the detox, kind of walk through that fire, so to speak. Detox is not always super fun, but you have to go through a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of fatigue or brain fog in order to, while these metals are circulating through your body, while you've, mobilized certain metals with BioSil and other mobilizers. they're going to be floating around until they're processed and removed by the body by various nutrients and antioxidants and binders by pectosol C. They're going to cause some problems. So by taking the pectosol C along with the BioSil, you help to dramatically reduce detox symptoms, if not completely eliminate them. So that's my recommendation. So the next question here. So Carol, my hair analysis number 1 shows 0.02 mercury, very low, and I have autoimmune. Could mercury toxicity show up on following tests? So absolutely. And the problem with mercury and other metals is that you can be extremely toxic in a metal and have it not show up on a hair mineral analysis. And there's several reasons. So number 1, when it comes to mercury, methyl mercury or organic mercury from fish is what we typically see evidenced on a hair mineral analysis. If any of you guys currently have mercury fillings or have had mercury fillings for any length of time in the past, but have already had them removed, every time you bit down on that mercury filling, you released mercury vapors into your body. But these are inorganic mercury, and those don't show on a hair mineral analysis. There's some theories that suggest that inorganic mercury can be converted by gut bacteria to methyl mercury in your gut. But I've seen thousands of hair tests, and I don't see any evidence of this. I mean, most of my clients coming to me have had mercury fillings for a long, long time, and they don't have super high levels of mercury on the hair test. So another reason you might not have mercury on. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our masterclass today. This is going to be so much fun. We're going to be answering all of your questions. So sorry, I don't know what happened there. I apologize. So for some people, if they're too tired to detox, they're not going to be able to excrete metals out of their body. And so that can be a problem as well. And also you can have genetic defects. You can have MTHFR, which, where you have problems with methylation and, binding to, your liver binding, coupling antioxidants to mercury to remove them from the body. People can have various genetic defects and enzymes and things like that inhibit mercury detoxification, and if it's showing on a hair test. Some people also genetically don't deposit certain metals into the germinal matrix of the hair. So the reason we test hair is because for most people, their body, in the cuticle of the hair, they deposit metals into the hair and into the matrix of the hair. But some people just don't do that. So the mercury is not going to show on their hair test. Hair mineral analysis is not a perfect test, but is the best screening tool for metals that we have. There's no test that will show all of your metals. There's no test that will do that. Lost my train of thought here. So, some metals come out in the hair, some in the urine, some in the stool. So if you suspect that you have mercury toxicity and on repeated tests, you don't have any mercury coming out into the hair, then it would be time to do a urine metals DMSA challenge test if you are healthy enough to do that test to see what your mercury levels are. And on the urine test, you will see the methyl mercury from fish and the inorganic mercury from fillings revealed on that test. Another very common scenario is that many people, when they first begin a detox program or before they've done a detox program, when we get their first test back, they have a lot of impediments to detox. They have mineral deficiencies. They don't have enough nutrients or antioxidants or glutathione in their bodies. So they're not able to detox very effectively. Or their liver's not working very good. But once they start taking a bunch of nutrients and start taking a bunch of detox agents and chelators and binders, then the next test 6 months down the road, they'll have all kinds of stuff coming out, but not always. Everyone's a little bit different in how they respond to testing. So the fact is that everyone has mercury. It's just statistically that's the case. It's impossible to avoid in our environment. So everyone has it, even if it's not revealed on testing, it will at some point on some test. So next question here. After I do a hair analysis and use your protocol, when do you recommend doing another hair mineral analysis? So I usually recommend hair test about every 6 months. And I used to recommend about every 3 months for the only reason that when you're doing a hair sample, you're taking about an inch or 2.5 centimeters of hair from your head and testing that. That's a 3-month average of what's coming out in your hair. So if you do a test every 3 months, which is what I do and used to do, you won't miss any metals coming out of your hair. But that gets very expensive. It's not very practical. But that's what you do if you want to make sure you're visualizing everything that's coming, all the metals coming out of your hair. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our masterclass today. This is going to be. Sorry about that. Someone keeps pressing the video to start. Fun, these live webinars. So what I recommend is about every 6 months for people to start, every 6 months for people to do a hair mineral analysis retest. You can push it to 8 or 12 months if you want, but about every 6 months to check in and course correct and change your supplement protocol is what's generally recommended. Okay, so next question is, 6 to 10 drops of biofil sounds low. What dose is 1 drop? About 5 drops of biofil is about 5 milligrams. So I believe 1 drop is 1 milligram. And while that might sound low, that's the doses you generally want to take. Otherwise, people get way too tired. And then they don't like being tired and they still have to work and live their life. So that's the dose that's recommended. And it takes about 2 years at that dose to remove the majority of your arsenic, aluminum, tin, thallium, and cesium. And so, and you also can only detox so much in 1 day. So while you could double the dose, like I did at one time, where I talked about earlier, it makes you really, really tired. So if you can handle more, go for it. I mean, it's not going to hurt you. If you can do 20 drops, you can certainly try it and titrate up and see if that level works for you. And if it doesn't make you too tired, then go for it. And so the next question here, Patrice, what is the name of the makeup line Wendy talked about? So the makeup line is called Inika. And I have an article on my site called Wendy's Favorite Beauty Products, because I've spent a lot of money on products throughout the years. I've tried everything. I used to be addicted to face creams and all kinds of different products. So I've tried everything at the drugstore, everything at Costco, everything at Neiman Marcus and department stores, and all the natural products. So I decided to create a list, because I get asked this question all the time, of my favorite natural beauty products that actually work. Because there's a lot of stuff out there that it doesn't really work. It doesn't really shampoo your hair very good, or the eye cream's horrible, or whatever the issue is. So if you type in beauty or Wendy's favorite beauty products on live110.com, you'll come to the article where I have the list of all of my favorite beauty products on there, and makeup included. And the next question is, what do you think about taking silver? So I'm against taking colloidal silver unless you have a chronic infection that warrants that. Silver is a metal, and it can build up to toxic levels in your body. And so I'm not a fan of taking it. It is warranted in some cases. I mean, I've taken it personally when I've had an infection. I've recommended it to people that have certain types of infections. And I've used it myself in the past. I had a chronic fungal infection in my sinuses. And there's a really good product by Argentine 23. They've got a nasal spray pump that's in the store that you can use to spray the colloidal silver into your sinuses. If you have a cold, doing that is a fantastic way to clear out all the mucus instantaneously out of your sinuses. And so so it has its place, but to take it on a continual basis, no way would I do that. You're making yourself silver toxic. So I don't recommend that. There's a company called Juva.com, and they have an alkaline silver. So this silver does not build up in your body. This silver is an option for those of you that like colloidal silver, want to take colloidal silver. It works much, much different than colloidal silver. It's not colloidal. It's an alkaline silver. So juuva.com is that option if you want to learn more about that. So next question here is, let's see, I think I've answered all of those. Okay, so would black cumin seed oil alongside coriander help with detoxification? We have both panacea seed oils from Activation Products. So black cumin seed oil is not really a detox product, so to speak. There's a lot of research that shows it's great at killing infections. It's fantastic if you have autoimmune, especially Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And so with black cumin seed oil, you'd rub a little bit of a drop on your thyroid, on your neck where your thyroid's located. It's about right here. And you would take about a teaspoon a day. And that's great at killing infections, especially a lot of people have gut infections. So, but it's not a detox agent per se. The coriander seed oil the coriander is the seed of the cilantro plant. So that's a great detoxification agent. And I'll tell you all the metals that detoxes. So the coriander seed oil, or even, cilantro extract, herb farm cilantro extract and other brands will remove barium, cadmium, copper, lead, mercury, manganese, nickel, and that's about it. So it's a fantastic product to remove that family of metals, which are divalent metals. So it has a particular affinity to bind to those types of metals to remove them and detox them from your body. So the next question is 6 to 10 drops in one go, or is it best to spread it throughout the day? So she's referring to the BioCell. So yeah, you just want to take the BioCell in one swoop, just once per day. You don't need to take it throughout the day or anything like that. Just once per day is enough. 6 to 10 drops is the average recommendation that most people can tolerate. Some can do more, some need less. And so the next question here, I'm sorry, can you repeat the difference between BioCell and Pectosol C? I know you recommend both, but what are the difference? So BioCell is a mobilizer. It's a form of silica that's attached to a choline molecule that helps to detox arsenic, aluminum, tin, thallium, and cesium. So it has a particular affinity to bind onto those metals and mobilize them from tissues, from your bones and your brain and other tissues. And so while it's mobilizing those things, you have to take a binder like Pectosol C. So Pectosol C helps to bind all kinds of metals and chemicals. The list of metals that binds to are this long. And so you don't ever want to do a detox program of any kind or infrared sauna without taking a binder. Or else you're going to have a lot of detox symptoms, like many of you have found when doing a detox program or 10-day detox in a box or whatever kinds of things that you've tried. Because you start mobilizing a lot of different toxins and don't feel so good, or you get brain fog or fatigue. That's because you need a binder. So the Pectosol C is a binder. BioCell is a mobilizer. They need to be taken at least an hour apart. So Janet, what brand of hair coloring do you recommend? So that's a very good question. Henna is really good. That's not going to help, women that are trying to dye their hair blonde, but it's certainly a natural option for women. There is a brand that I recommend. I don't remember the name of it offhand. If you go to naturalhealth365.com, maybe type in hair color or natural hair color. There's a brand on there that they recommend that's supposed to be really, really good, all natural, non-toxic, no formaldehyde. And that's what I'd recommend. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I apologize. Okay, so the next question is here. What do you recommend for canker sores? So for canker sores, I would recommend lysine. So lysine helps reduce the length of time that you have a canker sore and can prevent them if you're prone to getting them, and you have a time of stress coming up, or you're really stressed and you feel like you're probably going to get one. Taking about 500 milligrams of lysine per day can be really, really helpful. I used to get those all the time. All the time. It was so annoying. I haven't had one in years since I started detoxing. And I believe it's because my immune system is functioning a lot better. And it just a lot of weird symptoms just kind of start falling away when you start a customized nutrient program and when you detox your body. There's a lot of weird little symptoms that we just have become accustomed to that go away. Like, for instance, the ringing in my ear went away. My lips used to peel all the time. That went away. I used to have all kinds of weird like patterns on my tongue, probably a little TMI, but that's caused by mercury toxicity. It's called pattern tongue or migratory glossitis. That can be caused by mercury. It's actually like a psoriasis of your tongue. That's primarily gone away. Canker sores, gone. A lot of floaters in my eyes. I used to have a lot of floaters in my eyes, can be caused by mercury. Those are gone. So all these like weird little things that people have do begin to slowly go away as you detox. And if you look at my toxic metals sources and symptoms guide on liveto110.com, you can see this huge list of symptoms that toxic metals can cause. And you can search for your symptoms by pressing Command F on your keyboard when you're on that page and searching for migraines or whatever it is, pain, neuropathy, whatever your symptom is, and find out what metals could be contributing to your symptoms. So you can go on liveto110.com, search for heavy metals or metals, and the toxic metals sources and symptoms guide article will come up. So Kay mentioned, I had my gallbladder removed a few years ago, and recently I heard your podcast with Dr. Mercola about ox bile and lipase, which is a fat enzyme. I will probably order his digestive enzyme blend. Would it be best to take a pill with every meal that I consume fat, or with the biggest meal of the day? So if you don't have a gallbladder, you're going to have, you can most likely have digestive issues. And so I would definitely be taking a digestive enzyme with every meal if it were me. But you can also take zinc because you need zinc to make hydrochloric acid and digestive enzymes. So that can be helpful to naturally help your body make enzymes. Taking an ox bile supplement can be helpful, but ox bile helps to digest fats. But for some people, especially if they don't have a gallbladder, it can be too much. So it can cause them to have diarrhea. But it's not necessarily cause for alarm. Some people that are just starting ox bile, you want to just ease into it. If you start ox bile or the product that we recommend, which is GB3 by Endomet, if you take that and you get diarrhea, you're just taking too much. So you maybe want to take, start with a quarter of a capsule or a pill, or a half, one per day, and just see how you do, and you get your body accustomed to digesting those fats to the point where it doesn't cause diarrhea or loose stools. And so you just kind of need to work your way up. And, you can always do the lowest dose of any ox bile product just to see how you do with it. But yeah, Dr. Mercola's products, I think, are bar none. He's a friend of mine. He is meticulous about products that he brings to market. He has a very huge research team and team that creates his supplements. He's got fantastic supplements, and he's just one of the more ethical people that I know in the health industry. And his products are really, really good. He takes all of his products himself, which say a lot. So the next question here is, let's see. Oh, were you thinking of hair print? Diane, yes, hair print is it. That is the natural hair color that I recommend. I have not personally tried it myself, but it is one of the natural brands out there that is safe to use, that I recommend. And on another side note, a lot of people have a question, can I do a hair mineral analysis if I colored my hair? The answer is yes, resounding yes. The only caveat is that if you bleach your hair, so you get bleached highlights, or if you completely bleach all of your hair blonde, that's going to be a problem because The bleach will remove some minerals in the hair, but just a color that you apply to hair will not remove the minerals or affect the hair mineral analysis. If you get bleached highlights, so those are only going to be happening, kind of the surface of the hair. So most of the time you're going to be sampling a piece of hair that's not highlighted in the back of the hair. And so that's where you would do the hair sample, not from a piece of hair that has a highlight on it, where bleach was used to highlight that. So no problem if you have bleached hair, or I'm sorry, no problem if you have colored hair to do a hair mineral analysis. You're perfectly cleared to do a hair test. And so the next question here, can a fixed stainless steel orthodontic retainer leach metals into the body? So yes, and I see this with everyone that has braces. They always have pronounced nickel toxicity. So there's different kinds of stainless steel. These are an amalgam. They're made sometimes with iron, and they're made with other types of metals, including nickel. Nickel can make it really shiny, but nickel is typically found in braces and orthodontics, retainers, things like that. So yes, they can leach metals into the body, but then the plastic ones like the Invisalign retainers, those have plastics in them. So when it comes to dentistry, there's no ideal product. It's kind of like you're going to choose the lesser of two evils. So even if you have a ceramic implant or something, there's still like solvents and glues and other types of products that are used, to place, dental, crowns or whatever into the mouth. So it's really about choosing the lesser of two evils. A biological dentist can do testing on you to figure out, what you're least sensitive to or what works or is most compatible with your body and your countenance. So that's what I'd recommend, is going to a biological dentist. Okay. So next question here is, what do you recommend to look for in cooking pots and frying pans? So I have an article on my site, if someone can post that for us. It's called Wendy's Non-Toxic Cookware Recommendations. So you can type in cookware on liveto110.com. And I did a whole article on the do's and don'ts of cookware and the dangers of certain cookware and what cookwares to avoid and recommended brands that I really, really like. So that's what I recommend for you. And Bonnie, do you have any recommendations to help eczema? Okay, so eczema is a tricky one. Now, eczema is an immune system malfunction where it can be promoted by food sensitivities. It can be caused by metals, primarily mercury sensitization, where your immune system is negatively responding to mercury, and where you're like an allergy to mercury. And so there's a number of different things that you can do. And chasing eczema with supplements probably doesn't work so well as you've found. So my recommendation for eczema is, number one, you want to remove gluten and dairy. A lot of people have tremendous relief with removing gluten and dairy from their diet to control eczema. If you've already done that, then you do want to detox metals, because mercury sensitization is a big one when it comes to mercury or boils or hives or any kind of skin condition, which your doctor can't figure out or resolve. But then our Nest Health program, our bioenergetic program, is probably your best bet to the quickest resolution for that, because it's an immune system malfunction. And leaky gut can contribute to eczema as well, where you have food proteins leaking out from the digestive tract into the bloodstream, and then your immune system reacts to it. And then you can have a flare up of eczema, in that case, to completely innocuous foods. So it can be definitely more than dairy and gluten and wheat products that can cause that. Any imaginable food can cause a flare up if your immune system is reacting to it. So the best way to address repairing your immune system and getting your immune system to behave properly is with a Nest Health bioenergetic program. Vaccines, a known reaction to vaccines are eczema. That's a very, very common reaction, especially if someone has very severe eczema. So you really want to look at the onset of your eczema if it happened following a vaccination. I don't ever recommend vaccinations for anyone, man, woman, or child. For various reasons, I've done extensive research on the damage that vaccines cause. So I don't recommend that. A lot of children really suffer terribly from eczema as a result of their vaccinations. So next question here. What do you think of the Andy Cutler protocol to detox metals? I don't think very highly of it. Number one, because the test is based on a doctor's data, or his protocol is based on a doctor's data test. And the problem with that is the hair, when it's sent to that lab, it's washed with a product that leaches sodium, potassium into the water, or the chemical that they use. It's made by Dow Chemical. It's called Triton X. Triton X is the chemical that they use to wash the hair. And so this renders the sodium potassium levels are usually 10 times lower than they are compared to a hair test analysis done by Trace Elements International or analytical research labs. And so this will, throw off readings. It's certainly not going to affect any metals, but it will affect the practitioner's ability to evaluate your adrenal or thyroid functioning or look at other ratios. And so that's why I don't recommend it. And any protocol that's based on a test like a doctor's data is going to have flaws in it. I also don't, advocate the use of alpha lipoic acid, which is what he recommends on the protocol. I think that's a problem. It's not really that effective. It certainly works, but I use a fat-soluble sodium R-lipoic acid. It's far, far, far more effective. So I'm just not a big fan of the Andy Cutler protocol. The next question here is, I have continuous earbuzz for months now. What could be the reason for that? So tinnitus can be caused by a lot of different metals. So tinnitus can be caused by aluminum depositing on the cochlear nerve and causing ringing of the ears. So aluminum detoxification is the first place that you want to look. But you can also have something called toxic ear syndrome, where you just have a lot of different metals that have built up in the ear canal that will cause like that buzzing. But really detoxification of aluminum with BioSil and Pectosol C and other products is what I would recommend for that. So the next question is here. How do you help a 2-year-old with leaky gut? So obviously very challenging. For any babies or young children, I recommend to do a Nest bioenergetic program. It's a fantastic program. It's so easy to do. Anyone can do it, and even babies. And that will help to clear energetic blockages in the digestive tract and get the gut sealed and healed and get the gut functioning better and detox the gut. And so that's number one recommendation I would have for a baby. I don't like to put babies on detox programs. They don't really like the taste of the supplements. They're not able to tolerate them. It's difficult for them to do the testing frequently if they don't have hair. And it just, there's a lot of problems with children and detoxification. So I think Nest Health is really a much better program for them to do. And I'm really thankful that I found Nest Health with Bioenergetics program, because it's a solution and an alternative for a lot of people that aren't able to detox, or they aren't able to swallow supplements, or they aren't able to detox because they're too ill. So the next question I have, my brother has Parkinson's. Are there any Nest testimonials from people suffering from that disease? I don't know personally of people. No, I'm sorry, I do. I know one person that I heard of from Alzheimer's that had a good improvement, not complete resolution, but improvement. Because the problem is, by the time those forms of dementia manifest, they've usually been happening in the body for 10, 20 years. So by the time the symptoms manifest, there's usually a lot of damage to their nervous system, but you can get improvements on a Nest Health program. Parkinson's usually going to be related to mercury and aluminum as well. If you go on my Toxic Metal Sources and Symptoms guide, you can type in Parkinson's and find different metals that can be contributors to that. Manganese toxicity is a big one in causing Parkinson's and Parkinson's-like symptoms, because manganese will deposit in the pons and the cerebellum of the brain and affect coordination and whatnot and muscular movements. So manganese toxicity, like if the person drank well water for a long period of their life, or they showered in well water, frequently I see clients with manganese toxicity, and long term that can cause brain damage. So you want to look at that. So Tan, would you be able to send us information on studies you have done on vaccination? So I haven't done any studies on it. I belong to a group of people called the Alliance for Vaccine Awareness. That's where Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Sayer G., Kelly Brogan, a lot of people, advocates for vaccines, researchers on vaccines, researchers in hiding because they've revealed research that they have done that was really unethical by big pharma, and advocates, lawyers, people fighting for autistic children's rights that have been vaccine damaged. And so I read research every single day that's posted in that group. It's only available to health professionals or people that are in the vaccine arena. But I've read a tremendous amount of research. I will never, ever get a vaccine, and nor will I give one to my child, nor can I ever ethically recommend one to a client. So I do, if you type in vaccines or vaccinations on my website, I do have a handful of articles. One that I wrote that I thought was pretty good, called How Vaccines Cause Chronic Immune System Dysregulation. So the problem with vaccines is they improperly stimulate your immune system, rather than a germ or a virus entering your mouth or your nasal passages and stimulating immune system response that way. Vaccines, they stimulate one part of your immune system. You have a cell-mediated and a humoral part of your immune system. So you only are stimulating one aspect of your immune system when doing a vaccination. And unfortunately, your immune system then develops to improperly respond to stimuli. And that's why we're seeing massive rates of cancer, autoimmune disease, diabetes, eczema, allergies, autism, and things of that nature, because we're destroying our immune systems by injecting ourselves with vaccines. And so, and they've also shown that the high rates of cancer today are due to early versions of the polio virus. This is proven without a shadow of a doubt. A version of the polio vaccine actually caused the AIDS epidemic as well. A guy trying to create a version of the polio vaccine in Congo in Africa, which is the ground zero for the AIDS HIV virus. It was shown that was caused by the polio vaccine, but not all the polio vaccines, just one guy doing something he wasn't supposed to do. So enough about that. It's kind of controversial. So IM says, what would you recommend? What would your recommendation for Oceans Alive or chlorophyll? I'm trying to lose weight and have Hashimoto's. So chlorophyll is a very good product. I don't personally use it on my program for various reasons, but Oceans Alive, I highly recommend it because it has every nutrient required by the human body, and it has 180 different nutrients in it. So I think it's a wonderful multivitamin, multi-mineral. I absolutely love it. So that's what I recommend. If you have Hashimoto's, I'd recommend doing a Nest Health bioenergetic program. That's going to be really important to modulating immune system function and stop your immune system from attacking you and attacking your tissues. So what is a Nest bioenergetic program? So let me see if I can get that link for you. So I'm just going to give you a link to a page on our Nest Health Bioenergetics program. I just typed that into the very top of the chat room. So you guys can see that here. And a lot of clients right now on Nest Health, and on this link that I gave you, there's a lot of information about it. I've also have a number of podcasts. If any of the moderators want to post the podcast links about Nest Health, you can also search on the website liveto110.com for Debbie Ventura, Debbie Hart, or Harry Massey. And there's 3 podcasts. There's more podcasts coming about Nest Health coming down the chute. I love Nest. I've been helped tremendously with bioenergetics by Nest Health. And so I'm really happy to be able to offer it to everyone. And actually it's part of a mineral power program. When you do a mineral power program, and I want to, you see the offer on the screen here to do a mineral power program, you get $100 off if you purchase that. We have about 20 minutes left. For any 24 minutes left for anyone who wants to get one. You get a free Nest bioenergetic scan and 1-hour consult to review and interpret that scan with a practitioner. So you get 2 hours of consultation with your mineral power program. The only catch is you have to buy a scanner. So the scanners, it's about $150 for mineral power clients. We reduce it for mineral power clients. So it's not terribly expensive, and your whole family can use it. Use the same scanner for every Nest Health scan that you do. So it's relatively inexpensive. It's a very easy program to do, and you do get another hour consult and scan with your mineral power program. So next question, is there any way to help and reverse symptoms for someone who's developed MS, multiple sclerosis, or ALS? Or is it too late for help once these disease processes have started? So for ALS, that's a very difficult. I mean, by the time symptoms manifest, there's a significant amount of damage. For that, I would recommend someone doing a Nest Health program and just hoping for the best. There's no guarantees, but I would do whatever I could, including detoxing. With multiple sclerosis, all cases involve mercury toxicity. And in fact, a lot of cases of multiple sclerosis are mixed diagnosed when they actually have severe mercury toxicity. So I'd definitely be looking at detoxing mercury, getting on a detox program, and doing a Nest Health bioenergetic program to clear up any other peripheral symptoms. I mean, usually when people have serious diagnoses like this, there's a lot of different problems going on in their body. It's a systemic problem. No matter what health condition you have, it's a systemic issue. It's not just your thyroid. It's not just your gut. It's not just your nervous system and multiple sclerosis and your myelin sheath. It's a multifactorial process that needs to be addressed with nutrition, with proper targeted supplementation, with detoxification, and adding that bioenergetic component with clearing, energetic blockages in the body will go a long way towards dramatically improving symptoms. That is, if a client is motivated enough, because this takes a lot of work on a client's part or on a patient's part. Some people just don't want to do the work, and that's their choice. But with any kind of detox program or a program where you're going to recover your health does take a tremendous amount of work and expense and motivation on the part of the client. Okay, so I unfortunately am losing my voice. I've been talking way too much today, so we are going to have to wrap it up here. I'm going to take a couple more questions, and I will. The moderators will still continue to answer questions, so we can still get to all of your questions and answer them. But I'm just going to take a couple more questions. I apologize. I'm very, very tired, and I'm I'm starting to lose my voice. So Carol, I'm currently working with a functional medical doctor and doing a 30-day detox right now. Would I consider the Nest program at this time? Absolutely. I would try the Nest Health program because you can do it concurrently while you're doing a detox program or while you're doing any protocol. It will not interfere in any protocol whatsoever. It's an energetic program. So it's not working in ways that you may think. It's very, very cutting edge. This is something a lot of medical doctors and functional medical practitioners don't know anything about. And it's because it's very cutting edge. It's very new. Well, it's actually not new. It's been around for about 15 years. There's about 4,500 practitioners around the world, and it's used by a lot of medical doctors. The last training I went to, there was actually a reconstructive facial surgeon there that had been using Nest Health bioenergetics with his patients for about 7 years. And he did it because they get out of pain. Their burns heal 50% faster. He has tremendous results with his clients, and he wants to use the most cutting edge tools available to help his patients. And so a lot of medical doctors using Nest Health, just a lot of them don't know about it. So yeah, you can do it, definitely do it concurrently with your detox program or any detox program. So V, how far away from food should you take Pectacell C? So you want to take that an hour away from food, supplements, and medication. Marina, I have acid reflux and taking Pepcid on a daily basis. I changed my diet and trying to find a natural solution to get off my meds. I did endoscopy and show no symptoms. Can toxicity in the body cause the acid reflux? Do you have any recommendation? So yes, so there are certain metals like arsenic and mercury that are proton pump inhibitors that reduce stomach acid production in the stomach. And so that's why I do recommend a lot of clients take hydrochloric acid, because a lot of people have mercury and and arsenic, and they'll have reduced stomach acid production as a result of that. So definitely detoxing mercury and arsenic can help. They can be an underlying cause. Typical cases of acid reflux, you can also take magnesium taurate. Magnesium taurate, about 500 milligrams a day, is a great way. We have that in the store, in the Live to 110 store. That's a great way to, suppress the symptoms of acid reflux rather than taking Pepcid or some over-the-counter or medication. The problem with taking those, they make you very, very ill over the long term. You reduce all of your nutrient absorption, and then you basically suffer malnutrition as a result of taking those. And there's also newer research that shows long-term use of antacids leads to Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. There's new research out about that. So definitely would avoid those. There can be underlying causes of acid reflux like food sensitivities. So I definitely cut out grains first and drink more water. And dairy can be a factor as well. You can do some food sensitivities testing. We have an MRT, mediator release test in the store under functional medical tests. So that's something that you can do as well. There's a lot of different underlying causes. So you kind of have to do one thing at a time. The lowest hanging fruit is removing gluten and sugar and dairy and drinking more water, taking magnesium taurate, and then continuing to find the underlying root cause if that doesn't address it. And so I think I am done for the day. I'm very, very tired and I'm losing my voice. So I thank you guys so much for joining us on the Toxic Metals That Cause Fatigue webinar. I hope I answered all of your questions. We're going to have a lot more of these webinars coming up. You can look forward to that. You can also leave comments. We're going to have the moderators continue to answer questions. After the webinar is over, you can still leave. If it's not live anymore, you can still ask questions in the chat room and they'll be emailed to us and we'll answer them. But not to fear, we are going to have a lot more of these webinars in the future because they're so fun. I love interacting with all you guys and answering all your questions because I know you guys are very hungry for information. You want to heal your health. You want to meet your health goals, and I want to help you get there just as badly as you do. I love what I do. I wake up every morning. I'm just so excited to learn more about health, learn more about metal toxicity and how to help people detox their metals. So thank you so much for supporting me in my work and really making my life worth living. I really appreciate it. So I'll talk to you guys soon. See you on the next webinar.